And we are live. Hello, word nerds. It is November the 20th. There are 10 days left in Nano. I have written 0 words since the last time we met. So I'm really hyped to get a lot of words in today. Thank you so much to the people who have joined us in the discussion section. If you've never joined us for one of these before, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And if you have joined us before, we are still so glad that you're here. But for the people who are new here, we're going to do a little recap of what this is. So we do word sprints, which is we set an amount of time and then we write for that amount of time. And then we meet back, share our word counts, cheer each other on. A great time is had by most. Hopefully. Well, you know, every now and then we get like a thumbs down and it's like, man, I'm sorry you had a bad time.
One guy.
Have a good time.
We know who you are, Derek.
But yeah, we do have prompts for the writing sprints. You may use them if you want, but you by no means have to use them. And our prompts do have a theme. This week, the theme for the prompts is Thanksgiving food, since American Thanksgiving is next week. So I know it's a little early, but we have a write-in on Thanksgiving, and I don't know if any of us Americans will be there for it.
I'm hosting it. I have 0 plans.
Yes.
I'll probably just have a delicious plate of food while I write.
Pandemic Thanksgiving.
Yes. I have like a 50-50 chance of making it, depending on like how soon the food is going to be done and how much work I still have to do. But yeah, so, you know, if you haven't thought about what you're making for American Thanksgiving yet, we'll have some food-themed prompts that can maybe also inspire you in that way. Yeah, so how's Nano going for the rest of you? We already know it's going bad for me.
I'm just going to guess it's going good for Kyra.
It is. I'm slowing down, but I am still ahead.
I can't relate to that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I started a new job like right at the beginning of November, and I was like, oh yeah, like this will totally be fine and not affect my writing in any way. I was very wrong. And so I've had to choose between like either failing all of my classes or doing Nano. So I decided not to fail my classes.
Tough choice.
That's fair. It's funny because I was going to say for my Nano, I am doing outlining. And then we also had a question from Kaylee Books she was asking what outlining methods do we use? And that's what I'm actually doing on this chat. So this has been all of my Nano, which is just like an intense handwritten outline because I am a crazy person. But yeah, I do chapter by chapter. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm almost at the end. So
Woo!
Woot!
Nano's going pretty good for me. I'm still on track, but I am like rebelling in a way that makes it a lot easier than that every 10K I just stop and start a new book. So as soon as it starts to get remotely challenging, it's like, let's write the beginning of another book. So that's going okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. Kelly just constantly has that like tinfoil covered Kyra in her head.
Shiny idea.
If you don't know what I'm referring to, watch our video on the Nano channel.
It took me a second to catch up. I'm like, why would she?
Very confusing out of context.
And yet, if you know me, it's kind of like,
I kind of went with it. It's like, that's fine. I am really distracted though, because on my other monitor, I'm like scrolling through Goodreads looking for adult fantasy recommendations for Erin, which is what I'm going to do in the first sprint instead of now.
Yes, I have a lot. I've actually read a surprising amount of adult this year, so I can have more recs too if you need those
please.
Later. So my biggest rec is Mexican Gothic because it was probably my favorite read of the year.
That'll be as soon as I finish 9th House. I'm going to go into that because those are the 2 adult fantasy books I have on my shelf right now. So that works out.
And that one's not like it's more of a horror than a fantasy.
Yes.
Well, it is a horror.
It sounds good to me. Dark fantasy / horror. It's definitely, really good.
We've got people letting us know in the discussion section how Nano is going for them. A.R. Hansen said Nano's going not great. I hate the story. I hate my characters. This week hasn't been good. I'm sorry.
Relatable.
Yeah. I feel you if it
I'm on track word count wise, but I'm definitely at the point where I look at my characters, I'm like, you're terrible. I hate you.
Ezra's at a little over 32K. Ellie said only 10 days left and 40,000 words to go.
No worries.
You're still here. That counts for a lot. Anyone who is still writing, no matter what your word count is, you're doing so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. Valerie said, I hit a wall. I'm about 17K short of where I should be. Hopefully tonight will help. Yeah, so we've got a lot of comments in the discussion section. I'm not going to be able to read all of them, for which I apologize, but I do want to move into a sprint pretty soon here. That way we're not chatting for too long. Tonight, I am also structuring the sprints so they're a little shorter. We had a comment on one of our write-ins last week, I think, that was like, hey, could you try some with shorter sprints? Some of us don't have quite the attention span to do a 20-minute sprint. And that sounds really fun to me.
I don't have the attention span for a 20-minute
Yeah.
sprint.
So that sounds fun to me. So I'm aiming for this one to be shorter sprints that we have like less downtime in between. So hopefully we can get like 4 shorter sprints instead of 3 longer ones, or 2 long ones and a semi-long one. Oh, it's the 40 now. That's inconvenient. Do you guys want to talk for 5 minutes or start at a weird minute?
Start at a weird. I don't know.
Let's-
I don't really want to write.
At a weird minute.
Let's start at a weird minute.
Let's do it.
So we're going to start at whatever minute is next once I finish sharing the prompt. So the first prompt is, again, Thanksgiving food themed, turkey. Give your character something they've wanted for a while, but now that it's here, they realize it's just okay.
In the words of my favorite detective, turkey tastes like napkins.
And I always get so excited for turkey because I'm like, Thanksgiving, we're going to have the turkey, the mac and cheese. And then I'm like, oh, wait.
I don't really
the
like.
turkey.
I don't really
Yeah.
like turkey that much. That must be universal because I'm always like,
Yeah.
yeah, turkey, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
I had one that was really good one year where I had a family member who like brined it for like 4 days and then deep fried it. And it's like anything's going to be good when you do that to it.
Sounds like way too much work. That's why you have the gravy, though. If you drown it in gravy, then
I don't like gravy though.
oh,
Mm.
never mind
Really,
then.
really good grade. So,
So I'm going to put that prompt in the discussion section when we get started, and we'll start at the 3. Were you going to say something, Des?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm making pot roast this year instead of turkey because I don't like it. I've
No one
always
in the
made a
comment.
turkey.
No one in the comments like turkey either. Does anyone actually like turkey? Why are we doing this to
Turkey
ourselves?
recipe you like, please drop it somewhere that we can post the link in the discussion section.
I don't know what I missed, but I just want to know why Danny's just yelling Jake Peralta's name. Whatever
Because
it
I
is, I'm very
made a
interested.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke.
Oh,
I think Danny was like the only one that caught it. Yeah. I said in the words of my favorite detective, turkey tastes like napkins.
Oh,
Oh,
Jake
yes.
Peralta who said that. Oh, okay. I thought you
It
were
was
just quoting
Jake.
some random detective, and I was like, okay, cool. You have a favorite one.
Yeah, I
I'm going-
don't know any, let alone a favorite.
I'm rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine with my mom whenever I hang out with her. So
Oh,
Yes.
that's fun.
okay, and with that, it's go time. We are going to write for 10 minutes. So check back in at the 53. It's time.
I was not prepared for that. I still felt like I had all this time to get organized. And
Short sprints. I got 25 words.
25 more than me.
Heyo.
I got thoroughly organized. I have everything ready.
I'm writing by hand, so I do not know a
421.
paragraph.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm really
Nice.
trying. Like, I think if I do well during tonight's sprints, I can cross 40,000 for Nano. So
Ooh.
I'm trying to have good
Exciting.
sprints this time.
Yeah. It always takes me a minute to find where I am. Since I'm nanoing rebelliously, I'm like in the middle of a big document, which is such a pain. Also, I did not realize until after we started that Dez's headphones light up, and I
They
needed
do.
at least a couple minutes to appreciate that.
Someone in the chat said they have like the same headphones but in blue, I think.
Ooh.
I can't remember who it was.
No, I saw that comment too. The box, like the picture of the headphones on the box are blue. And I was like, these aren't blue when I took them out, but pink is my favorite color. So like it was a happy surprise.
We've got so
Guys,
many
but
people
not
sharing their word
disappointed.
counts.
Yeah.
Everyone writes so fast. People getting like 300 plus words.
Everyone
I'm
gets
impressed.
organized so fast. Everyone showed up
Yeah.
ready to go, and I did not.
Maybe that's a new goal I should set, is figure out how to get organized faster. Not for this chat, though.
I'd call that like a 2021 goal, if anything.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
future Megan's problem. We had a question from AV that I thought was interesting. How do you handle it if your character's goal is reached and it is a letdown? It's kind of applicable to the last prompt.
Oh, I like that. It's the kind of thing that you probably want to, either in edits or in planning, prepare for. Like, either, if this depends on where you are in the book, of like, are they going to have to go on from here and get to a thing that they'll figure out was a better fit for them, or is this kind of the ending and they have to adjust their expectations based on what it is? So yeah, kind of depends, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a great point to have your character reevaluate. I think an excellent plot point generally is to give them something that they want and have them realize that it's not what they thought it was going to be, it's not as exciting, or it has consequences that they didn't realize it was going to have. And that's a great chance to either, depending on the characterization that you've built, have them just like completely swoop low emotionally, or get really driven and push forward. Just kind of depending on the kind of story you're going to tell. Like, are they going to be disappointed by something and be like, doesn't matter, I'm going to find a better thing? Or are they going to be like, oh my gosh, what now? So maybe we'll start the next one in 4 minutes. Do another 10-minute.
Sounds good.
Yep, we have a question. I can't find it anymore.
Do you remember
It's
what
kind
it
of
was about?
dead. It is.
Yeah.
If you did ask a question and we missed it, feel free to re-ask it. There's a lot going on in the chat, so sometimes we miss things. I'm scrolling through right now to see if I can find it.
So someone used the turkey napkin as an insult.
Bran asked, why do the nano gods hate me? Which is a question for the ages.
I don't like anyone. Pretty sure. They're malevolent gods.
I like the idea of a
Trickster
pantheon
gods.
of nano gods.
I'm toying with an after nano idea that like has a pantheon, and I'm taking that into consideration now.
Much to consider.
It's just like a panel of literary gods who are like critics.
That sounds amazing.
They're all guy in your MFA.
Oh no, that sounds less amazing.
We had a question from Steph. What should be your first step towards revisions?
I think that varies.
Finishing the book.
Yeah.
I always read through it once after I finish it, like start to finish, so that I can remember everything I've done.
I usually put it aside for a little bit, and that's going to vary for every project. But I usually at least take at least a couple of days to just be like decompress. And then, yeah, I do the same thing. I will read through it and take notes for a first pass type of thing, like things I think of right off the top of my head.
I do try before I even decompress, though, like right when I finished it, to kind of just make like a list of things I already know I want to fix based on the draft. Like for this Nano book, I know I have like one character who I really need to like go back and beef up like her like character motivations, like figure out a little more what's driving her. So I'm gonna make note of that before I let it sit for a little while.
I write in Google Docs, like that's where I draft in. And so if I'm drafting something, if I'm drafting something and like something, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Instead of like changing it like right at that moment, I just add like a comment. So
Yeah,
like
I
my
do the
first
same.
step would, yeah. So like my first step would be to like implement those comments into like changing it, because I draft zeros because I draft so dirty. Like it's unusable my first draft.
Okay, it's go time. We have another prompt. It is mac and cheese. Your character's love interest or bestie says something cheesy that warms your character's soul.
Aw. A prompt made for Kyra.
We will check in 10 minutes.
Hi.
I kept coming back, not sure when we'd started, and the ticker was never where I needed it to be to see the time.
Let's see, that one went much better. 2:43. How did it go? Ooh,
3:28.
4:47.
nice.
Another paragraph. No idea.
I got like 32 words, but that's because I'm writing a history paper.
32 words in history paper words is like, it's like dog years, you know?
Yeah, like a multiplier by 10.
But then you have to do math and
Not while doing a
And
history paper. Let us know your word count in the discussion section if you haven't already.
I'm really feeling Kaylee's comment about being overwhelmed by outlining and needing to know how to outline and just don't know how to do it. I cannot tell you how many times I'm like, this is what I'm going to outline. No, it just doesn't happen. So I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
I don't think that it's ever something like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but every time I go to outline, and I am a religious outliner, it feels like it's confusing and strange all over again. And so I almost always do, like I talked about this on Instagram, how I almost always pick a book that I really like the pacing of and I really like the plot points of, and I'll like write that out and like use it as an example. So I'll look at like, where's the plot points? Where's the climax? Where's the pinch points? Like, where's the big reveal and the smaller reveals, and use that as an example. And always it like turns into something completely different as I'm outlining it, but it's like somewhere to start and is way less overwhelming that way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of more broad strokes outlines rather than trying to pick out every little detail, because then I feel too much like, oh, I can't deviate at all.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I want to know everything going on in each chapter.
Yeah. And especially during Nano, if I feel like I need to outline, like I need to figure out what's happening next, but I just can't see all of the pieces, and like to reach 50K, you kind of have to keep moving. What I'll typically do is just pick like what's the next big thing that's gonna happen. Like pick something to be revealed in the near future. A reveal or something big happens, a character dies, you know, big stuff like that. And then I'll trace out, okay, well, what exactly needs to happen just to get to that point. And once I'm there, I can see like, okay, what's the shape of the mountain ahead of me?
It's a good idea.
We have a question from Headphone Books. I made up a new country in my book, and I'm trying to figure out how the character accents would sound like and how to describe that. Any tips on how to do that? So I'm a linguist.
It's not one, but 2 master's degrees in linguistics.
At least one too many. Anyway, that's a long story. So in terms of writing accents, I find that a little actually goes a really long ways in writing. And a lot of times it's just kind of like the occasional mention that your character even has an accent. I mean, I think some people could get really into it where you could like bear out specifically like, oh, what, and so maybe, but for me, the most seamless way to include an accent in a book is just to kind of have like a general sense for how it sounds. So like, is it a drawl? Is it like kind of more choppy sounding to the character compared to their own language? And then I'll just kind of mention that every now and again, like when it kind of in a dialogue tag, like he said that with his whatever drawl, or like or you can mention maybe like one specific feature of it that's different, like they elongate their vowels or they roll their R's, or whatever it is that maybe is different. But it really is something where like a little goes a long way. The reader will do a lot of the work to kind of just fill in like, oh, this character has an accent, they sound different, without you having to like really bring it up all the time or overwrite
If you're
it.
looking for just different ways to figure out like descriptors for accents and languages, I like watching those like Disney songs sung in a bunch of different languages. So Let It Go, and then the Moana one has it where like every couple lines they switch languages. So it's a song you're familiar with, and then you can kind of go through and hear different languages, and then give yourself the time to like, okay, how would I describe this one? And then you can start to pick out some of those words that people will recognize as, oh, this is kind of what this sounds like, and like a twang or a drawl or sing song and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
I won't do that during the next sprint. I won't do that during the next sprint.
Disney music sing along, go.
All right, let's start on a weird minute again, because why not?
Do it.
We are lawless here.
Yeah, no rules. There's only 10 days left in Nano.
Oh.
So we're going to do another 10-minute sprint. Again, we're doing all short sprints tonight for those of you who prefer the short ones. All of our prompts are themed around Thanksgiving food, since it is American Thanksgiving next week. So prompt number 3 is cranberries. Something bitter happens, but your character manages to make it sweet. I will put that in the discussion section, and then we can start at the 17.
Awesome. I love it on our channel. It's just like it's American thing. Like we don't just assume. I imagine most channels where it's just Americans. It's just like this is Thanksgiving, but here we acknowledge Canadian Thanksgiving, even when talking about American Thanksgiving. Oh, I was going to ask you before the last one, Erin, do you have mac and cheese on Thanksgiving? That's never been a thing.
No,
it's something we eat a lot, but it hasn't.
I think it's
never been a Thanksgiving food.
I think it's kind of like the southern U.S. Like, I
That's
don't know any. I think it's
Mac
a great
and cheese
idea.
is the most
Mac and cheese is,
important
like,
part.
one of my favorite, like that is my go-to comfort food, but it's never been something that we've done for, and it's only something in the past year or two that I've realized people do for Thanksgiving. Like I think
I
can see why
I'm in the Mountain West. Yeah.
We
That's
do
wild.
like cheesy broccoli casserole and stuff like that, but not mac and cheese.
I'm sorry,
so
you do what?
No, it's so good. What is that face? Delicious.
I've never heard of eating anything
When she says we, she's speaking for her family, not for Canada.
You're not blaspheming the name of cheesy broccoli casserole. It is
I'm sure it's
so
delicious.
I mean, it sounds good, but just that's not what I think of when like Thanksgiving food.
Neither is mac and cheese to me.
We need another minute to recover. We're gonna stop
Yeah.
the page.
I was like crying over my cheesy broccoli casserole.
I was just so shocked to my core that that is a dish that you consume on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because like mac and
Yes.
cheese, like, oh, more carbs. This makes sense. Oh, more broccoli. No.
Yeah, it's
It's
the broccoli
covered in
that threw me
cheese.
off.
But you covered in cheese, so you feel like you're eating a
You don't know what is underneath the cheese. It's mostly cheese.
All right, let's write.
Okay.
We'll check in at the 28. Good luck, everyone. time. How did that go for you all?
Good.
Keeps startling me. I expect
Trained our
longer
bodies
sprints.
to do a certain length of sprint.
Yeah.
I kind of
got,
like the shorter ones.
yeah, I got 270 that time.
Did 425. I'm writing like an awkward family dinner, so I'm really thriving. That's like
your bread and butter. Bread, butter, and jam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Food.
We're very
I
on
feel like I
theme
have at
here
least
with
one
our
of the
metaphors.
books, so it was time. This is actually my second of this book, and there might be more. We'll see.
Let us know how you did in the discussion section. We had the question from earlier that I remembered when Des was speaking earlier was someone wanted to know which writing programs we used. So Des said that she uses Google Docs. I also use Google Docs. What about you guys?
I usually draft in
Word.
Google Docs and revise in Word.
Yeah.
Difference just helps me. I don't know.
Mostly Google Docs for me. I don't know. I'm trying to find a new
Yeah.
happy writing space.
I have used Scrivener in the past and really liked it, but I'm on a PC. Scrivener is not updating for PC anytime soon, so.
No.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm bitter
I
about
would
it.
use it if the bigwigs at Scrivener are listening. I am still interested. I have been hurt, but not so badly that I would not come back.
I'm sure they're all watching right now.
I know, big fans of the show.
Someone asked about the bookshelf in my background. So, see, I'm doing the Aaron thing. So this one, the black one is a real bookshelf, the one right behind me. And then the brownish one right here is actually a quilt that looks like a bookshelf.
Clever.
Someone was trying to figure out if that was a real bookshelf or not. It's not.
Let's see. We had a question from Mia that is a good one. What was the best piece of writing advice you've ever gotten?
It's kind of hard to think of like one best piece of advice because you need different advice at different points in your writing development.
And it also depends, is it the best piece of advice that I have used or the best piece of advice I know I should use and fail to repeatedly? Because that's different. The best piece of advice that I would like to follow is to keep your eyes on your own page and not like stress over other people's like publishing deals or like what the market is doing, blah, blah, blah. But I am terrible at that. I would love to be able to do that. So yeah.
I don't distinctly remember who told me this for the first time. It happened around the time when I was consuming a lot of Susan Dennard writing advice. So possibly that arena, Susan or one of her friends. But the first time that I ever heard that you don't have to write every day to be a serious writer, that was a pretty big game changer for me because up until that point, I had been very prescriptive about all of the writing advice I consumed. Like, oh, you have to write every day if you're going to be a serious writer. You have to outline in 3-act structure if you're going to do well. You have to do this. You have to do that. And hearing someone be like, you don't have to. Like, you can take weekends off. You can do like whatever works for your schedule and still improve. Like, I was a baby writer at the time and I hadn't thought of it that way before. And it has really changed how I talk about writing and how I think about my own writing, and has just been very helpful for making me chill just a little.
I had Megan knows Rick Walton. That's actually where we met. But one thing Rick Walton, who has since passed, but was like an amazing mentor and pretty prolific picture book writer, is he talked a lot about how like when you're learning, a lot of times quantity is actually better than quality. And this is again, like Megan was saying, you kind of take all writing advice with a grain of salt, but basically just saying like when you're learning how to write, you're going to be better off like just throwing lots of stuff against the wall and trying lots and lots of different things. Rather than like honing in on one idea and just trying for years and years and years to perfect it. Again, probably there are people that works for, but he kind of compared it to like if you were like a sculptor and you just like, would you learn how to sculpt by making lots of really crappy sculptures or by spending 2 years trying to make one sculpture perfect? And if you think about like sculpting, like, yeah, probably it'd be making lots of really bad ones. But we tend not to think of that way as writers, I feel like. So I feel like that has helped me a lot, that piece of writing advice.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my brain doesn't retain this kind of directly said nice quote things. So I'm sure I've heard a lot and I implement them at the time and then hopefully store them in my subconscious and learn and grow. But that's the best I can hope for.
One of the easiest things to implement that anyone has ever told me is when you're about to reread your manuscript, change it to a different font. So it looks different to you.
Yes.
So that's been very helpful.
Big fan. We've got one more question. So let's do that so we can start our last sprint at a weird minute too. Because chaos reigns. Valerie asked, any plotting pointers for pantsers trying to switch methods?
So as the pansiest person here, who has at times at least tried plotting a little more, I think when I've tried to adopt a little bit more plotting, I get really overwhelmed by plotting methods that are like really involved. I think it's easier to transition if you look for one that's a little more like big picture focused, rather than like Erin's like, I want to fill in all the details of all the chapters. I kind of like just starting with like writing down like what do I already know and like then identifying the gaps and trying to fill those in. Sometimes I'll write them down on a piece of paper. Like a lot of times I'll know like, okay, this is where it starts and this is where it ends. I'll write them on like separate ends of the paper and then just kind of like fill in like in the middle of the paper as I go.
Yeah. It's like the simplest system and the one that is always the hardest for me to do because it doesn't feel like working is giving yourself time to think about it. Because once even if you never write it down, if you know where you're going and some of the points you want to hit, you have an outline in your head. It just doesn't feel as official. And for me, pantsing was always that of like, I never wrote anything down, but I knew where I was going. It wasn't just like start a premise and winging it. So giving yourself the space to like, okay, I'm just going to sit with this. It doesn't have to be like a simmering on the back burner thing. It could be like, okay, it's not going to look like I'm doing anything, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think about this book until I figure out where it's going. And that can be so helpful. It's so hard to do because you don't feel like you're making any progress.
Yeah, I sit right there on that spot of floor, and that is I'm going to think about my plot spot. Plot spot.
Why don't we ever like have co-author meetings in Plot Spot?
We should. Remember that one writing group that we had where we were just like all laying on the floor?
No, it was just you and me. It was just you and me on the floor. Kelly and Erin were both like,
hey, I'm a floor person. You guys have seen my many forts.
I was going to say, you're a fort person. You're like floor 2.0. Like.
This wasn't like a comfy blanket on the floor sort of thing. That was just me and Megan. Like we are lying in the middle of our respective
having a
floors.
crisis. I will not make it to my office spot.
Anyway, we'll talk about floor chat later.
Yes, another time. We're gonna do one last sprint of the night. It's gonna be 10 minutes. We had some people. We had Andrea said, I just finished my personal goal for the month. Now everything I type is just sugar on top. Congratulations. And AV also said, I reached my today goal for my one project, 130K for my thriller. Woot woot.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have one more thought on the plotting before we move in. Don't pressure yourself to go all in on plotting right away. Like, just ease yourself in. Otherwise, you're going to hate it. And you're never going to go back to it.
That was the advice I was trying to give. Thanks, mate.
So prompt number 4, again, all of our prompts are Thanksgiving themed, Thanksgiving food themed, since American Thanksgiving is next Thursday. We do have a write-in. What time is that write-in at? Missy Kate asked that at the beginning of the chat.
Next Thursday? What?
I want to say it's at like 5 Eastern.
We have one on Tuesday at 8 and then Thursday at 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, prompt number 4 is pie. Literally, put a pie in this scene.
Delicious.
I'm
We'll
writing
start
an
at
awkward
the
family
9.
dinner. I could totally include pie.
Yes. And it's go time. Check in 10 minutes. time.
Definitely getting a little garbled at the end there. I kept looking back and being like, oh, my fingers were clearly on the wrong keyboard, on the wrong keys. And it was just gibberish, and I don't know what I was doing.
I finished my outline. It's finally done.
Amazing.
It's like half of this
I
notebook.
got 368, so I did better every sprint.
Ooh.
Always a good feeling.
I passed 1,000.
Now I'm trying to figure out what my
About that.
word count for the night was, and if I 1665, that's like 2 words shy of the
Dang, write them
of
down.
the
Do it right now.
I got -6 for the night.
Any 2 words.
Well, I'm gonna have to write like 200 more words tonight if I want to cross 40K. So
I believe in you.
I'll get those 2 words.
Mia E said, my character's just kissed for the first time. Yay!
Romance.
We've got a lot of really great word counts in the discussion section. Let us know your word count if you haven't yet. Danny said, oh man, I'm totally failing this last sprint because I realized my old fan fictions are still live on the website I used to frequent every day. Every time I realize that, it cuts like an hour out of my day because I have to go back and find them.
I'm very thankful that the Lord of the Rings forum that I frequented as a small 16-year-old child is forever gone.
I kind of like it's kind of fun seeing like, oh look, Stargate fan fiction. Oh look.
I don't want to see that from me. I wrote terrible Lord of the Rings fan fiction.
Oh, it's not good. It's all just like outfits. But
I really never have written. I just don't relate. Like, and I don't have anything against fan fiction. It's just like I never was like, oh, I want to do this.
Emma and I used to do it together a lot. Like we wouldn't co-write it, but we would both write and then like comment on each other's on our fan fiction website and stuff.
Mine was never like serious fanfic. It was like goofy rewrites of the Lord of the Rings fanfic where Legolas carried too many hair products on the quest to Mordor type thing. Like it wasn't serious.
Amazing.
Like some people are like serious.
That's what I would write if I did write fan fiction.
You still could.
I still
It's
could.
true. You could.
It's very fun.
I should make that a right.
Yes.
Next nano.
Well, it is getting pretty late over here on the East Coast, so I think we are going to wrap things up. We've got another write-in on Sunday at 7:30 Eastern time, so 2 days from now. I will put a link to that in the chat. I believe that's the right YouTube link. You should just double check that now that I've commented it. Yep. That's
Can we stall for just a minute because people are like posting what they wrote fan fiction for, and I kind of want to. So I'm seeing Avatar: The Last. I'm also like, if I'm going to do this, I need ideas. I don't even know what I would write fanfic for.
Yes.
Maybe Six of Crows.
I started like a Slytherin fanfic, and I think I got like a page into it, and then I was like, this is too much effort to actually do more than one page.
We've got Avatar: The Last Airbender. Solid. Les Mis. Love it. Harry Potter, X-Men, Star Wars, all of it. From Victorian Beauty.
Les Mis fanfic that's intense.
I could see myself going there too. I do like Les Mis.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of fanfic. I don't know. I think it's fun I think like with IP and stuff, they call it playing in someone else's sandbox. And it's the same with fanfic. You just get to have fun in a world that's already created. So you get to like expand your writing skills that way. And Like TV writers do it and get jobs doing it. Like
That's very true.
I really do like. I love the idea of fan fiction. I've just never really. I don't know. I just haven't.
I still like the idea at this point. I do not have the time to do that. That's why I stopped the Slow Learner fanfic. I'm like, I could be writing other work that I could try to sell.
Yeah.
But I
don't
like
do
the
it
idea
enough now to publish it ever.
Yeah.
But every now and then
it's a great way to start figuring out how to write, essentially, like getting better and better at writing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a fun way to experiment with things without the pressure of I have to
having
create
to
a
create
whole world
everything,
and a whole plot and stuff.
Definitely.
And it just makes people happy. Who doesn't love finding a good fic in a world that they love?
True.
Yeah, it just dawned on me of like, I bet you someone has written a like Game of Thrones show ending that would help fill that void for me. Like, I don't want fanfic of the books. I want to like something I can read, but that continues the TV
Something
show.
that picks up at the season that I have the least problems with and just goes.
Yeah.
I'm eager to see what people do with the ending of Supernatural as well. I won't, no spoilers, obviously, so don't worry about that in the comments, but I am eager to see the fanfics that come from that.
Why does it need to be rewritten by fans? I haven't seen it.
People have strong feelings about it.
They were going to have strong feelings about it regardless, to be honest.
We'll take it off air.
Yeah.
So we don't spoil it for people.
Okay.
I didn't actually watch it. I pieced it all together with context clues from Twitter and Kaylin, who did watch it.
I saw Kaylin's freaking out and went, no, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, I did put that link in the discussion section to where our Sunday live write-in is going to be. We hope you'll join us then. We'll probably be back to longer sprints. I don't even know who's the host for this Sunday, but I don't think it's me. But yeah, it's going to be so much fun. We hope to see you there. Please like and subscribe if you like us and would like to be subscribed to our content and are not yet. And yeah. Thank you so much for being here. As always, we freaking love you guys. You're amazing. We'll see you Sunday. Bye.
Bye.